So, today we're going to decode the psychology behind a very specific type of person, the one who's powerful but silent online. It's not about what they're posting, it's about the incredible strength behind what they don't post. Let's get into it.
You know who I'm talking about. We've all seen it. That friend, their social media feed is a complete ghost town. They're watching, maybe they'll like a post here and there, but they almost never, ever share anything themselves. So, what's really going on there? Our brains, they love to jump to the easiest conclusion, but the truth is way more complex and, frankly, way more interesting. Our fast gut reaction thinking, what psychologists call System 1, it tells us they must be insecure, right? Or maybe they're shy or just have a life that's, well, kind of boring. But what if I told you the psychological reality is often the complete opposite? What if that silence is actually a sign of a really strong sense of self, what we're going to call an internal anchor? To really understand this, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the social media ghost, the anchor within, the validation paradox, opting out of the silent contest, resisting the social herd, and finally, the unseen status symbol. Okay, so let's start by properly framing this whole phenomenon. We call them the social media ghost, and it's someone we judge so quickly. But, those snap judgments are usually built on a pretty shaky understanding of how the human mind actually works.
Look, most of the world operates on this fast, emotional, reactive way of thinking. So if you've ever felt a little out of sync with all those social rituals, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It might just be that your mind is wired for a different cognitive architecture, one that's more analytical, more deliberate, and way more internal.
And that right there brings us to the core of it all. See, instead of looking for what's missing on the outside, on their social media feed, we need to look at the powerful, foundational structure that exists on the inside. Now, this idea isn't some new age pop psychology. Not at all. It's actually grounded in decades of solid research, going all the way back to 1954, when a psychologist named Julian B. Rotter introduced a concept that literally changed the game. He called it the locus of control. And to put it simply, it's a spectrum. It just describes where you believe the control over your life actually comes from. Is it from within you, or is it in the hands of outside forces? And this is where it gets really interesting. An internal locus of control means you fundamentally believe that your own actions create your outcomes. But an external locus? That means you think outcomes are all about luck, or fate, or what other people do. That quiet person online? More often than not, they are operating from a deeply internal locus. So, this leads us to the first big mechanism at play here, what we call the validation paradox. It all comes down to a simple question. Where do you get your self-worth? Internal validation is self-affirmation. You are the source of your own approval. External validation, on the other hand, is the constant hunt for approval from others. The likes, the comments, the praise. The thing is, an internally anchored mind doesn't need to go hunting for something it already possesses. And this visualization just says it all, doesn't it? Relying on external validation creates this incredible emotional volatility. It's a total roller coaster of highs and lows that depend entirely on what other people think. But internal validation, that creates a stable, resilient sense of self that just doesn't change with public opinion. And the benefits of having this internal anchor are absolutely profound. We're talking about real emotional resilience, a rock-solid self-esteem, and way more authentic relationships. And here's the kicker. Your decision-making gets better because you're not wasting all that mental energy on digital performance. You have more focus for what really matters, that deep work that pushes your real-life goals forward, not just ones that get you immediate applause online. All right, on to the second mechanism. This one isn't passive, it's a conscious choice. It's a strategic withdrawal from a game that, honestly, most people don't even realize they're playing. Because let's be real, social media has basically become this silent contest. We're constantly, whether we know it or not, measuring our lives, our jobs, our relationships against these perfectly polished highlight reels of everyone else. So why would someone with a stable sense of who they are even need to enter that competition? The short answer is they don't. To someone who is internally anchored, this whole contest is just noise. It has absolutely nothing to do with their self-worth. Psychologists have a term for this: low outer directedness. They simply aren't looking outside of themselves for cues on how to feel or who they should be. Our third mechanism really builds on this. It's all about the amazing ability to stand apart from social pressure, to resist the pull of the herd. And get this, we can actually measure this stuff. Back in 1984, a researcher named Patricia Duttweiler developed the Internal Control Index. It's a tool that assesses key traits like autonomy and, most importantly, a high resistance to social influence. And you guessed it, internally anchored people score very high on this.
Yeah, their thought process is just fundamentally different. When a new trend or some kind of social pressure pops up, they don't just react. There's a pause. First, they consult their own internal values. And only then do they take an action that's aligned with their true, authentic self, not with what the crowd is doing. Now, this doesn't mean being some hyper-independent loner who refuses all help. There's a nuance here. Psychologists also identify what they call buy locals. These are people who have this really sophisticated balance. They take total responsibility for their actions. That's the internal part. But they're also smart enough to know when to trust and rely on external resources to manage stress. It's actually a much more flexible and resilient mindset.
Okay, all of this leads us to our final and maybe the most powerful reframe of all. We've been taught to see being visible as a sign of success, of importance. But what if the exact opposite is true?
I want you to really let this sink in. Silence is not a weakness. It's not a deficit. It is the ultimate luxury. It's a sign that your identity is so solid, so secure, that it doesn't need a single digital witness to feel real. It's freedom from the need to perform.
So, if you've ever felt out of sync with this world that demands constant broadcasting, constant performance, remember this. Your personality is not some flaw that needs to be fixed. It's a complex system that just needs to be understood. You're not hiding, you are simply functioning differently. And so, we'll end with a question for you to reflect on. When all the digital noise fades away, when you're just with yourself, where is your sense of identity truly anchored? Is it in the shifting sands of the crowd, or is it in the bedrock foundation you've built within yourself?